This conference will now be recorded.
From Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, the world headquarters of IBM TV, and from Vienna, Austria, we would like to welcome you to Startups Masters. Hi, I'm your host, Nick Paleveda, and today we have a very special guest from the other side of the pond, Xerxes Voschkemeyer. Xerxes, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you, Nick. Thanks for having
Yes.
me.
Oh yes, no, it's really great, and you're right now in Vienna, and you used to live in Tehran, and you have some very exciting things to discuss with our audience. Tell us, what do you do?
Well, I'm futurist. As a futurist, I look at the future potentials and dangers in the future,
Mhm.
and the different types of alternatives that we do have to pursue a future that we would like to pursue.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit about the future because most people, as you know, we live in the present and we squawk about the past. So, how do you see the future? Where is this world going?
Well, I mean, we're facing quite some challenges, as most people can see at the moment. I mean, one of the major challenges, of course, is the environment. And
Mhm.
then I think the biggest challenge that we face as humanity is the artificial intelligence.
Mhm.
Not necessarily because artificial intelligence is dangerous, but because it's important to understand that this new technology has so much positive potential, and because it has so much positive potential, it also has a lot of negative potential.
Mhm. All right. Well, tell us because I know IBM is into artificial intelligence, and of course, chess players love it as the computers today they beat the humans. So, what's going on in the world of artificial intelligence? How do you see this happening?
So, I mean, when we look at chess, for example, in the late 90s, I think it was with Deep Blue.
Yes.
I think you know it
Yep.
better than me.
Yeah. Deep
Yeah,
Blue beat Gary Kasparov. Yes, we have tape on that.
exactly,
Right.
exactly. And what happened 4 years ago, in 2015, there's the Asian strategy game of Go. I might have heard of
Sure.
that.
Yes. Right.
And the artificial intelligence of Google called
Yes.
AlphaGo
AlphaGo.
beat
Yep.
uh, beat one of the best Go players in the world in 2015 for the first time.
Right.
And by 2017, it was already able to beat four of the best players in the world simultaneously.
Right.
So that's a very quick development because they say for Go you need intuition
Hmm.
because it's a highly complex game. And what I always say is when we look at the development, because this was the first generation of the artificial intelligence, or the first generation that we know of. Perhaps there were some before, but the first one to beat one of the best players in the world. And then the
Hmm.
next generation, AlphaGo Zero, was able to beat its predecessor 100-0 after only 4 days into existence.
Right. Right. Yeah, and that was
And
pretty impressive. I did follow that, and I thought that was pretty impressive. That
exactly. And
AlphaGo was killer. Mhm.
yeah, exactly. And the whole thing about that is really the difference between the first and the second generation of this artificial intelligence was that the second generation only had the rules. So
Hmm.
the artificial intelligence only got the rules and was able to teach itself within 4 days the game so well that it was able to beat the artificial intelligence that before was able to beat the best players in the world
Hmm.
so drastically. So what I say is really we have to think about which rules, which paradigms we program into the artificial intelligence, because the artificial intelligence from there does everything on its own.
Hmm.
So basically, what we need to do is to program good rules into the
Right.
artificial intelligence, and this
Right.
also, of course, is a big issue for a lot of entrepreneurs who go into that field or work with technology that uses artificial intelligence, to be aware that there's a big responsibility that each and every one of us who works with artificial intelligence does have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's even used in media right now. A lot of the media companies,
Exactly.
what they do is they see what you like, and what they try to do is they try to steer you into movies that you like. They may
Exactly.
not be necessarily good movies for you, but that doesn't matter. They're tracking you to figure out what you like, and then say, hey, we'd recommend this movie because that's the type of movie that you like. So IBM TV has its challenge because we're smart television, which is counter cyclical to what a lot of people are looking for. In other words, and I think artificial intelligence is a big conversation, and they say it's going to be revolutionary in the next 10 or 20 years, and it's all over the
Exactly.
place. But you know, Xerxes, people don't even see it. Even when I buy airline tickets, I know that the airlines are scoping what type of ticket I'm actually going to buy. In other words, at the end of the day, and what
Yes.
price they can sell it to me for. So it's just fascinating what's going on there. So
Exactly.
what are you doing? And you're in Vienna. What are you doing in Vienna? What's going on there?
Well, basically, I'm as a futurist, I work with companies and organizations.
Mhm.
I work with the media. You know, I do consulting, and my main thing at the moment is that I speak about these issues, major challenges we're facing in the future at conferences and at events.
Mhm. Right. Yeah. And you recently spoke at a TEDx
Exactly.
conference. It's not a TED, but it's a TEDx. Tell me, inform us and the audience, what's the difference between a TEDx and a TED Talk? What's the story there?
Well, the TED conference is the original conference that
Mhm.
was first developed in the mid 80s, and
Right.
now it's about 10 years that there are licensed TEDx talks. So it's
Mhm.
not the TED organizers, which only have the conference in North America, but all over the world. You can do a TEDx event if you get the license, get licensed to do that, and you have to. The organizers of a TEDx event have to by to certain rules how they organize the event and the way it's pursued, basically. So
Mhm.
that's the whole thing between TED and TEDx.
Yeah. Okay. So do you speak mainly in Europe, or do you speak in Iran, or where do you speak right now?
Oh,
Where do you talk?
I mostly speak at the moment in Europe.
Okay.
I've actually, so far, I haven't spoken outside of Europe yet.
Hmm. Okay. All right. So mainly it's in Europe then, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm always happy to go other places as well, but for the moment,
Mhm.
it's been Europe.
Okay. So where do you see artificial intelligence taking us in the next 5 years? I mean, if people could even know what's going on 5 years from now, it would make such a difference. Where do you see that taking us in the next 5 years?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of developments. Artificial intelligence is not so much into our face. I mean, we have artificial intelligence devices with us every day. Our smartphones are artificial intelligence devices. The like Siri and Alexa and everything, that's artificial intelligence, basically.
Mhm.
So the artificial intelligence will help us to solve all different types of problems, like small things like when we look up something as we used to do or still do when we look for Google, but it will be all more customized for us. As you brought up the example of that you get suggested what to watch, this is one of the
Mhm.
things. Um, so it will be the same thing with all different types of things, not just for what to watch, but also which doctor to go to,
Mhm.
which insurance to get. It will be in all different areas of our life, and that's also the reason why I also mentioned that at my TEDx talk. It's really important to rethink the current economic system that is mainly profit driven.
Mhm.
And when, for example, we look now the example that you brought up with television, for the
Right.
artificial intelligence is not necessarily so important what is good for us, but it's programmed in a way that it brings the most profit for the company. And it's really important that we rethink this paradigm. Of course, every company has to make profit, but the purpose is becoming more increasingly important, and profit has to become secondary.
Right.
So this is one scenario that it could go into this direction. Maybe not in the next 5 years. I think it will take a bit longer than that until people realize that. Because the alternative is basically that we will live in a scenario where the interest of companies, especially big companies, will be followed even more with artificial intelligence, and then it doesn't really matter if it's beneficial for us or not. It's really about maximizing shareholder value, basically.
Right, right. And that's one reason IBM TV is a not-for-profit company. So the thing is, we don't have to look at, the bottom line all the time. That's for other companies to look at, and it gives us a lot of freedom to try to figure out how can we help people, as opposed to look at how can we just help ourselves. So I think that that's certainly a good model if people can actually go ahead and adopt that type of model. So artificial intelligence, I think, is big, and we actually run a health channel on IBM TV, and I saw a study that radiologists cannot outperform artificial intelligence today. In other words, determining, let's say, if you have cancer or some problem, the computers are better at doing your scan and determining your diseases than a radiologist, which is fascinating. In other words, humans are coming in second place relative to artificial intelligence. So the reason for our existence, I'm not sure what it's going to be, as computers tend to take over. And even flying airplanes, they use artificial intelligence and glide paths. Almost anybody could fly a plane. Just press a button and you fly it. So do you think in 5 years from now we're going to see a lot more of computers and AI just taking over what humans are doing?
Well, in certain areas, definitely. I mean, in certain areas, the computers will do a better job.
Right.
That's for sure in 5 years. Some already now, some in 5 years, some maybe in 10, 15, 20 years. So what the situation we are in right now is comparable to the first industrial revolution, where basically through technology there are big shifts in politics and society and in the economy, because the economy will run in a very different way. So definitely this is an issue, but as with the first industrial revolution, there will be a lot of new jobs. I don't think that people will become superfluous, that we will still need people in different many areas, because artificial intelligence can do a lot of things that we can't, but still cannot do everything. And so humans are still very important and will be for the future.
Yeah, well, I think so too. Well, we're running out of time now, but we do want to thank you, Xerxes, for coming to our show, and thank you for being on Startup Masters. And we, of course, want to thank our audience for listening to IBM TV, not a TEDx, not a TED Talk, but a Pod TV at IBM TV. So hopefully we'll see you next time.